Organizing my desk. Just hold on a minute. See, I do all the stuff, connecting and everything. That's, learning and adapting as I go along. Oh my goodness. How's everyone doing today? I had to get supper ready and things like that, and I made my pork chops too hot and too hard and too dry, and I don't like them. I'm not happy with them. It was supposed to be stuffed pork chops, but it turned out to be bread and carbon. It seems like it tastes like mist. I don't like it. I don't like it. But I did throw in some black-eyed peas and snaps to go with it. So, I mean, that kind of offset it a little bit, right? Maybe, but you'd have to have a really stiff drink like I don't know, good shot of bourbon to make that go down, right? It just, oh my goodness. That was a pathetic attempt at supper. I hope everybody has the same reaction that I did. Or at least I won't be surprised if they do. Anyway, so my name is Cassandra Williamson, and I am coming to you from up in a holler in eastern Kentucky in Pike County in a little place called Hardy. And it's only about 5 miles, maybe 5 or 6 miles. I'm going to say it's about 6 miles to out and down the road and all that over to Williamson, West Virginia, where I was born a long time ago, last century, almost in the middle of last century. It's a beautiful little, well, it could be a beautiful little town. Let me put it this way. Williamson needs a lot of help. The town of Williamson needs a lot of help right now. And if anyone's listening or anyone catches this at some point in time, geez, it's got my name on it. It's my family, some distant cousins in the past founded the town on land that they had owned forever on both sides of the river in Kentucky and West Virginia. The part over in West Virginia became the county seat of Mingo County, and it's called Williamson, and the Williamson family owned all the minerals and everything underneath it. And yeah, they got all of that. Not quite sure how they ended up with it, that particular branch of my family, but they ended up with all the minerals and all the surface rights and everything like that too. All of that property over in West Virginia in that region and along the Tug River in Kentucky side. So they created a town of Williamson in West Virginia and South Williamson in Kentucky directly across from it. And they put their elementary school in South Williamson and called it the W.J. Williamson School, the Wallace J. Williamson School, up until probably sometime in the 30s, maybe the 40s, when they changed it to South Williamson School. But anyway, so yeah, it needs help. And with my name stuck on that thing, it needs big help. The roads are horrible. I hit one little section of road going out 52. I was going towards Delbarton, West Virginia, and I hit. They'd put asphalt up to one section and concrete on the other. And they have different expansion rates when it gets hot and contraction rates when it gets cold. They do, just so you know. So one of the asphalt had just buckled up right at the concrete, just whoosh, it created basically like a 3-inch bump. I mean, it was like, pow. I hit that thing last week. They paved it over finally. I scraped it down and paved it over and fixed it. But it was just a patch fix. So Williamson and the mayor down there in Williamson and Mingo County, hey, come on. You got my name stuck on your town, on our town, my town. Now I'm thinking about having to move over there across the river just to go in and say, come on, we got to fix this. But I got a lot of cousins over there and a lot of family there already. And I mean, this whole place is nothing but cousins. And, we don't have family trees. I've said this before. We don't have family trees. I used to say totem pole. I'm going to switch that to a witch's nest. Do you know what that is? It's when two trees are standing next to each other and they start to blend together and they actually join together, biologically join together. And you end up with this. Sometimes it looks like a broom, an old broom with straws on it and that kind of thing. But other times it looks like a big nest that's all just meshed together in a ball-shaped thing. Well, around here, the family tree looks like that. It's all tied in a big knot. Everybody's related to somebody in some way or form or fashion. And it's just, anyway, you got my name stuck on that town over there, and I want to have to start talking to cousins. Call them in the family. Let's have a powwow. Let's go fix this thing. Need to bring in some money. It used to be a vibrant town, but that was also covered in dust and mud and all kinds of stuff from the coal industry, which they've kind of overused completely. Can't access a lot of the coal around here anymore because the coal that's left is actually holding up the mountains, the pillars. Because whenever you do the mine, if y'all don't know, I'm just talking about stuff around here at the moment, but the way you go underground to mine something, you go in blocks and sections. Okay, so you leave a big block in there that holds up the mountain above you, and you put your cribs and all that kind of stuff in there to support that. And you cut it out and you leave a block, you go around it and leave a block, cut out more, leave another block. So you're always leaving part of the coal in there, but you get a lot out too. But you got to leave those blocks in there just to keep the mountain from collapsing. And then the layers of coal, the coal is actually in seams. There's a seam there. Go down some more. There's another seam. There's some under the river. You mine under the darn river. And then, up the mountains, and you can see where the mountains used to be closer together, or at least on the same plane, because you got the same seam from mountain to mountain. Up this mountain, there's one. Over here, this is the same exact seam. That's chemically the same. That tells you there was an alluvial plain that settled along 250 million years ago, 300 million years ago. But anyway, so those seams, they mine them out and you got layers and they end up with blocks underneath them. That's holding the mountain up. And then you leave a lot in there, but you get out all that you can. So very little of that industry is left around here. There's some here. But the new industry here is going to be in those strategic metals that we need, whatever. Geez, I can't think of the names. But anyway, so having a brain fart, y'all. Hold on. Anyway, the stuff that's used into batteries. I know what the word is. Come on, I know that word. But anyway, there's a lot of those strategic metals in the sludge that came out of the coal preparation process of cleaning that coal and getting it ready to use in either power industry or the steel making industry or wherever. And it's in all of these mountains and all the refuse ponds and all of the places that were filled in. All of those metals are there. It would take some cleaning, obviously, to get it out, but there's a lot there. So I suspect that somebody's already working on how to do all of that to get that to work and come out, because that would be an industry around here that would employ a lot of people. And the other thing now is it's cleaner here. When I was growing up, I always thought it was dirty and musty around here. And I was in a hurry to get away, as a kid back in the 60s, 1960s and early 70s. I was always just in a hurry to get out. But now this is a beautiful place, which I find as a surprising statement coming from me, because I've always been strongly opposed to being here. But I am here because of family, and that's the only reason I'm here. But then again, that's kind of a broad statement. The entire place is filled with family. Everywhere, first, second, third cousins all over the place. Yeah. So let me just clarify. I'm here for my immediate family in terms of mom and brothers and sisters and first cousins. I can't go back too much further than that. I do know a lot of my second and third cousins. I know a lot of them, but that's where it is. That's what it's all about around here. is that that's the family I'm taking care of, and that's my obligation and responsibility. Lithium, Junior. Phew, thank you. Lithium. I couldn't get that word out for anything in the world. It was stuck. I'm glad somebody's got their head on today because I just didn't. I burned the pork chops I was making for mom and family, and the stuffing that I'd put in there. It was just, I mean, it turned into a brick, literally too dry, too hard. So I fixed a can of black-eyed peas and snaps as a side to go with it. And hopefully if they hold their nose, they might be able to eat some of it. Ugh. I may end up having to fix some breakfast for this evening. Something easy like eggs and bacon. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for saying that, Junior. Lithium, yeah. There's a lot of that, and then the other strategic metals. There's a bunch of them here in these coal sludge ponds around these hills where the old coal mines used to be. But I started off by saying that Williamson, West Virginia, a place whose family had originated all of that, and all that land and the minerals under it, and the banks and the towns and the whole darn thing, laid it all out. They had the land there since 1850, and they turned it into a town in 1870 or 1895, and it boomed for the coal industry and the railroad coming through here. Boomed. I think the maximum population at one time in the 20s, in the 10s and 20s, was around 20,000 people had come in here in that period of time. And that was a lot of people come in that living in that little town. Now there might be 3,000, maybe. But they do need to fix it up. It's got my name on it. The crazy part is, though, my family came into this area in 1795. The first instances of my family here in this region of eastern Kentucky was 1795 with Alden Williamson, who came from Russell County, Virginia, who was in the Revolutionary War, the first battle of the Revolutionary War, which is the Battle of Point Pleasant, by the way, Lord Dunmore's War, which is actually before the actual Revolutionary War started, but he was in the militia for Virginia, the southwestern parts of Virginia, and you find him in all kinds of different things. He was put in for promotion to lieutenant at some point. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it does get better. It does get better, and I'll end up having to either eat a bowl of cereal or fix some eggs and bacon to get over this, and an ice cream. That's what we need right there. But anyway, so yeah, the family's been here a long time. And I've studied the family history and the history of the region as much as I can get my hands on when I was stationed in D.C. and in Annapolis and down in Fredericksburg, down in Quantico and all that, and that region in there. I spent a lot of time at the Library of Congress, the library at Richmond in Virginia. I mean, I spent a lot of time there going through all these things, reading records. I've read records all over the place. Went to Russell County, Virginia, and walked on the land where Alden Williamson had bought land in 1776, somewhere right in there. He had 200 acres of land on a little creek there in Russell County, Virginia. And so I've been there. I know those places, And so we've been here a long time. Just a handful of families came into this area in eastern Kentucky, and then they had large families, really large families. I mean, large families, and they just kind of occupied the whole region around here, from Pike County over in Pikeville all the way over to Mingo County and Logan County and Wayne County and Martin County and Floyd County, and all down through here in this region. I mean, we're everywhere, literally. So that's why I say this is a witch's nest of family connections around here. And that's a lot of fun. I mean, everywhere you go, you have somebody to talk to. Like today, for instance, I was out driving out into, it's actually a beautiful drive from here going over into West Virginia and over to Delbarton, West Virginia, Mingo County. I was still in Mingo County, and I had to take some stuff over there. I went out and did some Sparkin. It's a good pastime, good way to get out of the house, good way to go do things and make a little bit extra money at the same time. But I went all the way up in this holler, this road that was called Pigeon Roost Road, way up in there, dropped off some stuff, and lo and behold, there was no signal to finish my stuff I had to do on the phone. So I had to drop back out all the way to the top of Billy Goat Mountain. Yep, that's the name of the mountain. And you can go there and find all kinds of trails to ride. There's actually resorts on some of those trails out through there that are just crazy. It's crazy. People are just enjoying the wilderness and the wild that's around here. And it's beautiful out through here, folks. You ought to come in and check it out sometime if you have a four-wheeler and you like to go riding out through yonder. I haven't, but I know a lot of people who do, and they all are telling me about all this stuff. And I'm not going to go buy a four-wheeler. Geez, these people around here, when you buy a four-wheeler here, you're going to spend as much for one of those as you would on a car. Literally. So anyway, it's been fun today. Delbarton, I mean, it's changed a lot. They've improved a lot. It's a small little place, very small little place. Yeah. But, the old buildings are still there. People are still living there and working there. And, I go into a convenience store over there. I bought myself a Coke and started chatting with the lady behind the counter. And she said, "I think I know you. And I said, "Well, I don't know." She said, "Well, maybe you're related to somebody that I know." And I said, "Lady," I didn't know her name. I said, "Lady, everybody around here is related. Everybody. Unless you're a recent import from some other place. There are a few Canadians working around here and Englishmen too on the police force here. There's a person on the deputy sheriff's department who's from England. And I mean, that's cool. That's great. I welcome that kind of diversity. Yeah, I welcome that kind of diversity. When people talk about, now I know that this sounds like stream of consciousness talking. I'm just going all over the place with it. But hey, sometimes I just got to clear the air. That requires a lot. So I sit here and I go, so diversity. It's not a bad word, folks. Diversity is not a bad word. You cannot escape the fact that this nation consists of a diverse population of people. Can't escape it. It's a numerical thing you can quantify. Diversity is quantifiable. You can assign it a number. Whenever you say there are so many trans people in the country, which is about 1.6 million, or there's so many veterans in the country, which is about 19 million, or that the suicide rate for veterans is about 4 times or 2.5 times higher than the civilian population. And those are socioeconomic demographics that we need to know about. But that's all about diversity. That just talks about the numbers of people from each different socioeconomic background. And why would you need to know that? Well, because they're treated differently. Whether it's in employment, whether it's in medical care, whether it's in, there used to be a lot of banking problems with that. And today is still a lot of problems with banking in that regard for some of the LGBT community, depending on where they're at. It's not around here, but that stuff it happens. It used to be called redlining when it was the bank saying that if you live across this line, then you're most likely black, and we're not going to loan to you across that line right there. The red line there, it's on a red line on a map. Anybody living over there, we don't make loans to. Anybody living over here, we make loans to. That was the redlining thing. And that's why the white communities looked all built up and nice and pretty most of the time. And then the black communities over here didn't. Because the banking system disenfranchise that whole population of people. It's illegal to do that, but we all know that saying that's illegal doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. So the fact that it became a point of contention means that it does happen or did happen. So I'm not sure the severity of it now. It's a lot less likely, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So we have, we're always looking at the diversity in a population. How many white people are here, and European descent people or African descent people, and how many of them are mixed. I don't know any other word to use for that one, but yeah, mixed. I mean, I am. Let me see. I've got so much percentage of German ancestry in me, and genetically, I've got a lot of percentage of me that is Scottish and English, and a lot that is Northern Europe, in Norway, Sweden, that part up through yonder, up through there. But there's a 1% part that is from down in Africa. So, yeah, where'd that come from? Well, obviously, somebody in the past in my family was an African, likely a slave, and it was recent. I mean, recent as in like the past 150 years. So, yeah, I mean, these things happen around here. I didn't get it from mom's side, even though some over there have that, but I did get it from dad's side, which is out of North Carolina, which makes sense because they were huge into slavery there. I don't know if you knew that or not. And they were also huge into abusing their positions. Yeah. Anyway, somebody was talking the other day on X, talking about their heritage and stuff like that. And then this person is an apologist for the Civil War, okay? An apologist in terms of defending the South, defending the war, and saying that it wasn't about slavery, that it was about independence. And this person also doesn't like Lincoln, because he sees Lincoln as the person who wanted to put down a drive for independence in the South. But the reason the South wanted independence wasn't for independence sake. No. And this guy is supposedly learned, got the degrees in history and all that kind of stuff, but he's been, I don't know where he went to school. It must have been the school of Cracker Jack box. The one where you can get your degree on a piece of paper. Sometimes it stencils on your arm. And even the decoder ring's included on occasion. So I don't know where he got it, but that war was over slavery. And Lincoln didn't want to fight the war. He tried to delay that. He put it off as much as possible, but he just had to do it, He had to preserve the union of this whole country, because we need each other. This whole country needs each other, regardless of how different we may be. Going back to those statistics again, that crazy old stuff. But anyway, so this person was talking about all of that. And then his name was Lee, last name of Lee. And I said, so are you related to the Lees of Virginia? And he goes, or how about Robert E. Lee? And he goes, no, came in afterwards. And I said, well, I am related to the Lees of Virginia and to Robert E. Lee. Distantly, yes, still related. And I said, and I'm in this part of the country where there are lots of Vances. Vance is, yes, there's a lot of Vances here. Somewhere in my family. Yeah, they are. They're in my family. As a matter of fact, one of my great, probably fourth great grandmothers was a Vance. It's the same bunch of Vances that J.D. Vance is associated with or connected to as well. Huh. But then I put a little parenthetical thing at the end of his name, and I said, but are you the kind of person who says that you should only call a person by their birth name? Because J.D. Vance's birth name was Bowman. And I said, but I'm going to respect his wish to be called Vance because I want you to respect me because I've chosen my name too. But I mean, if you go around calling him Bowman, then that, you're actually not being a hypocrite. You're technically you're telling the truth, right? Oh my God. Anyway, I've just rambled on and on and on, and I just want to say thank you to Junia Childers, from my friend from down in Alabama. She and I have marched on the Capitol down in Montgomery, stood side by side, walking down through there. And I'm going to tell you, we even encountered one of the street preachers, and he just couldn't believe that we were offering him water. So I told him, I said, hey, I remember this, Junie. I don't know, you probably do too, but he was out here preaching, says, y'all going to hell, y'all going to hell, y'all going to hell. This is not the way you're supposed to get to heaven. And I'm thinking, pick your places. You're going to go into a hole in the ground. But anyway, so I told him, I said, look, if you really want to have an impact on anyone, you want people to hear you. I actually talked to him about it. I said, if you want people to hear you and to respect you and not yell at you for what you're saying, don't approach them with a billboard. I know. That's true. That's true, Jenny. You're right. So this preacher was down there, and Jenny was with me. We were walking through that march on the Capitol. And so I remember telling that preacher, I said, hey, if you really want to have an influence on people, don't bring a sign and a bullhorn out here. All you need to do is bring water. Bring them something to drink. You might not agree with anything that they're doing, but they will remember the person who had something that they might have needed at that time, like a water or a Coke or whatever. They're not going to consider you at all if you're yelling at them, being disrespectful to them. But they will remember the person who's respectful. Every time. Every time. Oh my gosh. I don't know why people don't get that. I mean, it's a simple thing. It really is. It's a very simple thing. Well, it is now 27 minutes and 28 minutes after the hour, and I'm going to get off here and call it a day. We'll come back tomorrow. And Junia, thank you so much for being here and your input. Thank you for helping me remember, or at least putting the word on there that it's lithium. I was trying to find that word. Yes. I don't remember the guy's name, actually. I do not remember his name. I can see his face. I can see his face. But we took him water, and I thought that was just so cool. And I'm sure that had an impact on him. There was another time when something like that happened. I was up in Huntsville for another event when one of these far-right extremist Christian groups was going up there to protest a drag queen show that was taking place on a Sunday at a bar. But they were going up there, this bunch, they would call anybody a heathen and going to hell and all of this kind of stuff. They came in vans and swamped the place and had their own big banners. You're all going to hell. They're yelling at us across the road from each other. So I decided to turn the tables. I walked over there into the middle of it, into the middle of them talking. And I said, hey, come on, let's talk. Smile and all that. And they got the police on me. They said, you're not supposed to be over here in front of us doing all that. And I said, okay. I said, okay. All righty then. So I went down to the local convenience store and bought 2 cases of water. took one to my side over here that was on one side of the road saying, "We support the drag queens coming out here and doing this. They have no problem with us." Thanks, Junior. I will have a good evening. And anyway, so I went to the convenience store and got 2 cases and took one case to my side of the road, and the other case I just went right in the middle of all of those people. There were women and men and children there, and it was a hot day. So I took that water and set it down right in the middle, ripped it open, and do you know something? I took the water to them, but the preacher there, looked at the kids who were starving, who were thirsty, and then they wanted the water. And that preacher said, "Don't you dare get that. We don't take anything from them." I left it there. Some of them actually did get some of it, but not much. I just thought that was so stupid of them. But then the whole thing was crazy. Whew. Yeah, there's all kinds of stories like that. I got to go. Yes, I have pictures of him and a video on my Facebook page. Oh, interesting. Well, Jenny, I do need to run now. I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for dropping in, everyone. I know that we have drive-by visitors too, so thank you as well. Yeah, and if you want to go over to the website, www.cassandra-llc.com, you can go over there and find links actually on the live streaming or live program section where you can watch this on the web. Go there and read some of the blogs and the posts. And then whenever you think about getting a cup of coffee, give me one too. I appreciate it. What I do is not a nonprofit because I will not be beholden to that. The orange chicken. You know, that one. Panda Express in the air. Bye.